It's Kearney Live, presented by KMO-TV and 102.7 FM. Kearney Live takes a closer look at current issues and topics that matter to you. And now, here are the hosts of Kearney Live, Mike Davis, Jim Dickerson, and Stacy Bratcher.
And welcome to Kearney Live. It is so good to be with you today. I am here, Mike Davis, along with Stacy Bratcher, Jim Dickerson, the executive producer, engineer, Brian Watts. Show yourself, Mr. Producer. That's
That wasn't me, was it?
Looking good, Brian.
Thanks.
And I would also like to introduce our guest. You may have just, if you're listening to the news, you just heard Dante DeStefano. Yes, right there, who is our senior student from Kearney High School visiting today and helping us out. He spit in Jim's coffee a minute ago, which was really funny. And it was nice that he has been taking care of us today and helping us with the news and all kinds of things.
It's been awesome.
Good to see you, Dante. And we'll get you on the air here at some point along the way. Maybe later, maybe not today. I don't know. But this much I do know. Jim Dickerson has news for us today. And I'm going to go to you first because, to me, the news is what we went through last night.
I was going to say, there's not a whole lot that you probably don't know. So
the midterm elections.
Recapping.
Right.
So instead of doing straight news, and I know some of the news things that we would normally be doing are actually covered in some of our topics coming up. So instead of going into that, I'll just say congratulations to Jerry Nolte, who won re-election for presiding commissioner in Clay County. Jerry's a good friend of the show. He's actually been on the show a few times, very decisive there. Congratulations, Jerry. There are other winners in Clay County, and do we have graphics of those?
Yeah.
You throw them up, I'll talk about them because I don't know which order you
Well, I know Josh Hurlbert was a winner.
Mr. Producer, but let's see which order he has. Yes, Mr. Johnson in Clay County Eastern Commissioner, seat 2. He won his bid for that position.
Jay Johnson was just on the show.
He was on the show last time. Another winner was, in fact, Lawson.
Joanne.
And she was just on the show. There's a pattern establishing here.
So this happened a couple of election cycles ago. If you'll recall, we have a pretty good tradition. If you appear on the show, you win your election.
He's not kidding.
Let's see what else we've got up on the board. Let's see, were they on the show? Up next is...
let's see.
Josh Hurlbert.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Hurlbert. And was he on the show?
Yes,
and
indeed.
The answer is yes, indeed he was. Josh won his election back to state representative. Congratulations to Josh.
But for a new district.
He was actually on the show not last week, but the last show.
2 weeks ago, he and Jay Johnson were both
Did
on.
a great job filling in, by the way. And what else we got? That's all we've got for that. For those of you who want to smoke marijuana, congratulations, you can. We'll talk about that later. And
Brian's got a bag of a big leafy green substance in front of him right there.
Brian was over there making brownies when we came in. So that's pretty much all the news there. I think also, I don't know if we have in the production room, they have the graphic for it, but the funding for the police in Kansas City also passed. So that's good. Eric Schmidt went to the Senate, and that's pretty much all the real contested local races. We'll talk about some of the other stuff coming up. And back to you, Mike, I think. I was going to look at my notes, but I didn't want to get busted.
No, and I'm glad you're here, and thank you for that, Jim. In fact, it was just real quickly, I think it was a little troubling, and it is to me, that, Stacy, that we still don't know the answer to many of the races across the country, and I think you're going to follow up on that. So tell us about it, yes, if you can, yes.
I have a whole, isn't that in her segment?
It's in my segment.
It is, and I think that's why I was sort of turning it over your direction. But,
you want me to go?
Well, I think we're...
No, my segment's Brian's yelling at us in our ear already.
Right.
Follow the script.
I think I'm supposed to do my tease now, is what the producer
Don't tease me, Jim. Don't tease me.
So, go like this. Do you believe the media? Do you trust the media?
No.
Do you trust the news?
I'm not
I
sure
think you can see where we're going. We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay with us, Kearney Live. More coming up next. Wow, this is going to be a long hour.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
Electric cooperatives are different. We have a sense of pride in our local community and support the people who live here. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative supports local schools, takes an active role in economic development, and works hard to keep costs down for its members. We exist for one purpose, to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. To learn more about how Platte Clay Electric Cooperative is working to achieve that mission, visit www.pcec.coop. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
You may have noticed your shoulder hurting, or maybe a kink in your neck. The culprit may be looking right at you. Your phone. Think about how you use it. Does that pain feel familiar to you?
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Walnut Creek serves their premium wines in true farm-to-table fashion. Their grapes are grown on small vineyards in Missouri and Colorado and pressed right here in Holt, Missouri. Their locally made wine pairs with their gourmet pizza and charcuterie boards. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Open Thursday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 90 North Main Street in Holt, or find them on the web at walnutcreekwine.com. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery, bringing farm to table to your glass.
And welcome back to Kearney Live. We're going to talk about a few things today, but first let's talk about the trust in the media. Currently, only 7%, not 70, 7% of Americans have trust in the media, and that's all forms of media. And I'm going to make sure I read this to get it right because these numbers are actually pretty staggering. 28% of U.S. adults say they don't have much confidence at all, and 38% say they don't have any confidence in newspapers. For the first time in history, Americans with no trust at all in the media is a higher percentage than they have of fair trust. Basically, people don't believe the media at all. Now, this is really nothing new. This is a story that's been just developing time over time over time. So before we get started, the one thing that I've always said is very simple is, and we actually have some proof of this coming up, but if the media were honest and they were telling true news stories and you had 5 media outlets, because remember when we were kids you had 3.
Right.
But they would all be saying the same exact thing, just different people would be saying it. Very simple. But when you go and watch a news program now, you'll watch about the same story and it is complete. You're like, are they talking about the same thing?
Well, I'll say this, Jim. I have watched many of the same broadcasts, or many different broadcasts, use the exact same words on a particular story. That comes, and I used to say that there was a 4 a.m. news feed that went across CNN and MSNBC and others that are not typically, that we wouldn't consider conservative news media, because they're not. They don't even try to be, and it's more opinion than it is news. Although they try to combine them, but I have seen them where they used to actually show the exact same copy that was being said by different people on different networks, which would indicate to me that somebody from somewhere else besides the internal production company is sending down, here's the copy, the script that we expect you to read on this.
And I would understand that on an affiliate level. So like if CBS has a CBS affiliate.
I'm not talking about the
no, you're right.
Yeah.
It goes across all.
the
So
board.
ABC, NBC, CBS will all say the exact same. I've seen that too. But here's one that I want to use. And this is going to kind of parlay. I know you're talking about the elections coming up here in a little bit, Stacy, but this parlays into that. A lot of people were talking about they voted based on what they knew. But if you don't know what's going on, then to a sense, we tell voters to go research, and a lot of them don't go out and go physically look things up.
Right.
I'm going to use the Fetterman thing as an example because this is going to become an issue.
It's huge.
The Fetterman, the guy had a stroke. I get it, but here's the thing. There's certain things that when you have a medical condition, and I'm going to use me as an example. If I have a stroke, I'm no longer going to be able to fly. It's just a fact of life. There's certain things you cannot do. It's very obvious in listening to him that he's cognitively declined, and he has trouble focusing. He has trouble saying his thoughts. And when one of the major outlets interviewed him and said that publicly, we had to put up a screen and all this stuff. They got trashed for saying that. Not because it wasn't true, because they weren't supposed to say it out loud.
Right.
And so then a lot of voters were upset because they had already voted based on the information they had given and did not know that. So that's where the media is not being forthcoming. They're trying to push certain agendas. This just happened a few days ago. We've all heard about the Pelosi break-in, and then this news station, and I think it's NBC, did a story. This is the story they ran initially.
Craig, good morning. When officers arrived here at the Pelosi home exactly a week ago today, they initially didn't have any idea exactly what was going on. They knew they had a high priority call on their hand. What was unclear, what was happening inside the property just behind me.
This morning, Paul Pelosi is home, back at the house that became a crime scene a week ago today. NBC News learning new details about the moments police arrived. Sources familiar with what unfolded in the Pelosi residence now revealing when officers responded to the high-priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House. After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home, but instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant and away from police. It's unclear if the 82-year-old was already injured or what his mental state was, say sources. According to court documents, when the officer asked what was going on, defendant smiled and said everything's good.
All right. Right after that story aired, a couple hours later, it was pulled. It was pulled off of every social media. It was pulled completely. You cannot find that story. You can find it if you research it. But NBC pulled it down and said it didn't follow their broadcast or their standard of news reporting or whatever else. But what that reporter had done was raise some of the very questions that a lot of people are asking, and now nobody's talking about it. And as a law enforcement person, a former law enforcement person, I have so many questions, and he brought up several of them. Number one, as an officer, you know what high-profile people live in your area.
Absolutely.
It's not a doubt. And if it's the number 3-person in the country,
Absolutely.
you know whose house
You know
that
whose
is.
house it is.
That's ridiculous to say they don't even know who lived there.
Yeah.
But this is par for the course. This has become common practice. Stacy, how do we get the media back to being the media?
Oh, wow. That might be a really great question for our young Dante over here who's going to go into this field. But, it's become so sensationalized, and their ratings are now based on how dramatic can we make it, because that's what gets viewers. I don't know how we get back to just reporting the news, except for maybe through smaller channels like what we're doing right here and right now, and exposing the truth and encouraging people to go out and research and find this information. Stop watching mainstream news. Your local stuff, okay, but balance out your national stuff with other resources, because like my mother-in-law is a great example. We were at dinner at their house the other day, and as most of you know, my husband is also law enforcement. And she decided that although she is against marijuana, she was going to vote yes at yesterday's election for the marijuana initiative, because she was led to believe by the news that it would help the police. And with her son being a police officer, she wanted to help him.
Yeah,
it wasn't about the marijuana. It was about, so the whole misleading and the twisting of words and ideas is why you need to read for yourself and think it through logically.
Well, that's easy for us to say.
Right.
Because I think the three of us who are sitting right here at this table do explore our own resources.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a matter of fact, people are making their own decision to leave a good deal of the mainstream media. CNN and MSNBC are in the tank. Mm-hmm. And you may have noticed a number of the hosts of many of the CNN shows, news programs, have been fired.
Right.
They've been canned, and there's a reason. I think they've abused the public trust to the extent that finally people, and whether you're a Democrat, Republican, conservative, or liberal, whatever, when you start to realize that you've been lied to on a consistent basis, that you've either the deceit comes from not even telling the information, not even saying it, and I think the Pelosi incident, I think, is a good example of it, Jim. There is so much there in that story that could be told. And in fact, you see bits and pieces of it across the internet, and yes, you can go to Twitter or wherever and hear anybody's personal view of what might perhaps have happened. But we know for a fact that there is, I'm going to guess, a police report, and there's information that is being, the last I saw, is being withheld from anybody in the public that is right there with law enforcement.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. So as it relates to the Pelosi thing, the reporter did exactly what I think you should do. He went to the source document. He went to the case filing that was filed with the court, and that's where he got the information. Outstanding.
Right.
He did what he's supposed to do. They pulled it back. So I'm going to go into a situation or a thing that everybody loves. January 6th. Oh. I'm so tired of hearing about it. Yeah. But I will say this. The number of people that I talk to where they'll say, well, what about the 5 people that died, that were killed? That's because the media put that out there. It has been proven time and time again that did not happen. The thing that the media folks have been doing, it's kind of like we used to use this in court. We'd say, once you ring the bell, you can't unring it. Mm-hmm. So what happens is they'll throw something out there, it gets out there, and then they won't they won't correct it. They just won't talk about it anymore. So you have this going on over and over and over again. And that's why I think you see exactly what you're seeing. The thing of it is, as it relates to news is driven by advertising. Mm-hmm. If you don't have sponsors or advertisers, you don't have a program. And these anchors, the guys that you're talking about that are no longer there, they're high dollar people. I personally think we should be high dollar. That's a whole nother story.
There's no evidence of that so far.
I was just looking for that check. But yeah, I think it's starting to catch up to him in the fact that sponsors are saying, I'm not real sure I want to be part of this because it's not accurate.
Right.
But will we get back to it? Will we get back to...
I don't know.
You know, and the thing of it is, I will say this, and then when you talk about social media, and a lot of people complain about social media does have its good parts, and that is this. Think back to, well, this hurts me to say, but think back to the 70s, for those of you who can. We had 3 news sources, right? ABC, NBC, and they came on, you knew, local news at 5.
Yep.
World news at 5:30 and local news at 6. And the funny thing was, it used to be world news at 5:30, local news at 6, and that was it. And then 10.
Right.
Now we have 4, 4:35, 5:45. I mean, we have news constantly. However, going back to in the 70s or whatever, if the news told you something, you had no way to verify it or whatnot.
Right. Yep.
So that part is good. People have the way to verify. They have the way to look it up. They just need to do it. If you see a story, don't take it for what it's worth. Go look it up. And 9 times out of 10, you can find the source documents.
Right. Yep.
So
agreed. That's what I would do during Trump's presidency, and they'd report on what he said. You know, they'd take the little clips. He said this one sentence or 2 sentences. Well, I'd go back and I'd read the entire speech so that I could get the context and find out what he was really trying to say.
Well, I think along with even our Department of Justice now, that so many of these the news outlets are being weaponized in a way to support a leftist agenda in many cases, or in other cases. Well, I'm going to leave it at that because I think that there are good sources out there that are objective, and they're out there, and I'm not going to make a list of them here because I had to discover them all on my own anyway.
Right.
But I can tell you this, Jim, I don't watch them. I don't watch any of the mainstream, and that includes Fox. I mean, yes, we take some clips from Fox News, from Tucker and others on there, but we've taken clips also from CNN. But all that to say, I just don't even waste my time because, honestly, yes, right here, just 7%. Well, I'm in the other, whatever it is, 93%.
It was my understanding there would be no math.
I'm in the 93% that doesn't trust, and in fact, why should I waste my time? And yes, since news, quote unquote, if that's what you want to call it, and information is wall to wall, 24/7 now. We get far too much of it, and most of it's useless, in my humble opinion.
I couldn't agree more.
Yep.
I'm getting yelled at by Brian. Stacy.
Oh, all right. Well, Election Day was yesterday. We'll talk about the results and what it means for us when we come back.
Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Walnut Creek serves their premium wines in true farm-to-table fashion. Their grapes are grown on small vineyards in Missouri and Colorado and pressed right here in Holt, Missouri. Their locally made wine pairs with their gourmet pizza and charcuterie boards. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Open Thursday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 90 North Main Street in Holt, or find them on the web at walnutcreekwine.com. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery, bringing farm to table to your glass.
You value choices when it comes to the products and services you bring into your home. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative gives you control over the energy you use. PCEC offers members ways to save with energy efficiency rebates and demand billing. You even have the power to choose the resources used to produce your power. To learn more, visit www.pcec.coop/power. Flat Clay Electric Cooperative. Your power, your way.
Migraine headaches, the throbbing in your temples, the pounding in your forehead, extreme sensitivity to light and sound. Your neck feels so tight it could snap off. Oh, the debilitating pain.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Online banking at Kearney Trust Company gives you 24/7 access to your checking, savings, money markets, CDs, and loan accounts. You can access your accounts anytime from your home, office, and mobile devices. Online banking with Kearney Trust combines convenience and flexibility to bank on your own terms. Kearney Trust Company is a partner for success with 2 locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
Welcome back. Prior to yesterday's midterm elections, the polls were indicating a so-called red wave of success for the Republican Party. The GOP had long been predicted to win back control of the House, with the race to regain control of the Senate too close to call. So let's review the results. As far as we can see, we are still with the Senate, 3 seats left in play. Democrats have 48, Republicans 49. And with the House, there are 56 seats left in play, with the Democrats holding 176 and the Republicans 203. So it looks like Republicans are going to take the House. Senate is still too close to call, but they're saying that they think that the Alaskan race in Alaska will go towards the Republicans, which will possibly flip it. So who knows at this point what's going to happen there. I think we already kind of recapped who won locally. We've got Eric Schmidt, Sam Graves, Scott Fitzpatrick for auditor, Josh Hurlburt for state representative again. Awesome. Local state representatives, we've got Bill Allen and Doug Ritchie. And then, as we said, with the commissioners, presiding commissioner again will be Jerry Nolte. We now have Joanne Lawson, Jason Withington, and Jay Johnson will also be joining the commission. But the big news is with the amendments and the questions on the ballot. If you've not heard, Amendment 1, I'm sorry, give me a minute to pull my notes so I know what I'm talking about here.
That's okay, I never know what I'm talking about. So.
Because Amendment 1 was providing the flexibility for the state treasurer's office to invest in municipal bonds. That was defeated with a big no. Amendment 3 was bringing forward the petition for folks to make money off of existing medical marijuana dispensary by expanding it to recreational. That was a yes. Amendment 4 was co-sponsored language to keep the KCPD funded at their historic levels of 25%. That was a yes. Amendment 5 for supporting the National Guard's budget was a yes. The Constitutional Convention is a 20-year question. It comes up every 20 years, and it's to see if we want to put a convention together to revise the Constitution, and that was a big no. And then finally, in our area, Proposition A came from Clay County government, suggesting that commercial property surtax levies be dropped from 1.59% of $100 assessed valuations to 1.0 $1.59 for every $100, drop it to $1.44.
Right,
and
that's a lot of numbers on that.
that's a lot of numbers.
But I think
it was my understanding there would be
exactly
no math.
right.
Right.
But I think it's hugely important because it does, I think, start to even the playing field in a step-by-step, steady basis to where they're not just dropping, the valuation immediately, all at one time, but year upon year, it'll drop steadily, so that frankly nobody's going to notice this one bit, and it will even the playing field with other counties, in particular Platte County and others surrounding. But the development that's going on in Platte County is, because their valuation is far cheaper, lower, and has been for some reason. Clay County's had this, and I think the commission and Jerry and others on the commission, discovered this a couple of years ago and said, we really probably ought to fix this.
Yeah,
thing.
but correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Jay talk about this a couple of weeks
Yes,
ago on
he
the
did.
show? And his analogy I thought was outstanding because he basically said it's a percentage. So as valuations go up, there's no need to have the percentage keep tracking with it, because the valuation goes up, the percentage goes down, but the amount of money actually still goes up.
Right.
Because of the way it breaks out. And then he gave the analogy, if you want to go back and watch Kearney Live on the podcast or any of your... So what he's basically saying is, would you like 1% of his salary or 1% of Elon Musk's salary?
Right.
The percentage is the same, but it's the basic number that you draw from. That's the big deal.
Right. Well, and I think the problem was particularly the North Kansas City Board of Education had sort of raised their hand and said, "Wait a minute, this is our source of revenue."
So did Kearney High School.
But you're not going to lose anything, because as long as the valuation keeps going up, you're going to continue to have more money come in each year. It's just going to be a smaller percentage of more money.
Well,
but it's the way I understand it.
And to his credit, and he brought up a great point, and he won his election seat, which is good.
Right.
He brought up a good point, though. People need to understand the exact consequences or results or whatever of what they're talking about. And what his contention is that the people that were firing off some of this information didn't fully understand the way the taxation worked and all that. So again, we've said this 1,000 times, educate yourself on these different proposals and all that, so you know what you're voting for. And I've said this before, and people look at me like I'm weird, which I'm used to. When you go to the ballot box, I've always hated it when you have a ballot language that said, should the county not be able to positively maybe in a case of, and it's all this word salad stuff that you don't even know what it means. And the nice thing is,
yes means no and no means yes.
And all this stuff appears on the ballot, and no matter how much you've researched, you're like, I don't remember seeing that one before. There was something on my ballot about moving some green space to the, I'd never seen that anywhere else. So that's a whole nother subject, but I wouldn't be opposed. It's a lot of paper, and I get it, but I wouldn't be opposed to, the whole ballot language goes on the ballot, the entire thing, so you can read what you're doing. Now, that goes to advanced voting. So, as you know, I will say this, and I don't want to steal everybody's time and thunder, but I've always been a big proponent of voting on the day of the election.
Yes.
However, because of what my wife and I do, we travel so much for work that we're generally not in town on election day, so we've always done the absentee ballot. The one advantage that gives us, though, is when we have the ballot, we can look at it and we can look all these stuff up. And literally, it took us a couple of hours to go through our ballot. You cannot do that in the ballot line.
Right.
You don't have the ability. You're really not supposed to be on your phone. In fact, I think they say turn them off or something like that. But you're not supposed to be in there like taking pictures of the ballot or whatever. So there's two sides of that for another story on another day.
I would like to mention, I think the sort of elephant in the room of the reason why, and among many others, why we don't have the results last night.
Right.
Is
for the
because
federal seats.
I think look, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say this thing. Fetterman versus Dr. Oz in the Senate race in Pennsylvania, and Katie Hobbs versus Kari Lake in the governor's race in Arizona. Mm-hmm. In my estimation, Fetterman and Katie Hobbs are probably the two worst candidates in the entire election yesterday. And for some reason, Fetterman has won. At least that's what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, Kari Lake, who has been an absolute rock star across the board through all the campaigning, and if that woman doesn't end up as president of the United States, then it will be too bad.
Well, not this time.
Yeah, eventually. But all I'm saying is, I still think we've got problems with the functionality,
voting integrity,
and perhaps the integrity of these elections, and especially when you select these two candidates that are just absolutely worthless. And I'm sorry, but that is the case. And to see, especially when they're up against someone like Kari Lake, who has destroyed her on the campaign trail, and I think it's much like what we saw in the Biden versus Trump in 2020, when Biden stayed in the basement for the entire time during campaigning, and Trump was going around the country filling football stadiums with people.
So here's the way I look at it. This is a very simple deal. When I go, I could run downstairs right now and buy a cup of coffee, and that transaction will be showing on my bank account before I get back into this seat. It can be done.
Right.
If we wanted to, you can't tell. We've had so when we started elections, well, they used to sit in a room and you'd raise your hand. Then we started having ballot boxes, right? Yeah. And you'd hand fill out your thing. As technology advanced, so did the way we vote. Then we had the problem back in the 90s, the late 90s, with the hanging chad, for those of us who remember that.
Yep.
So the computer, the little things used to read the chad, so we changed it. Now it reads like a laser reader, and it reads that. We have the technology now to do it on computers, and like my computer at home runs off my fingerprint. So everybody says, well, those can be hacked. All right, look. Anybody who's done in business before can tell you want as few people touching the money as humanly possible.
Right.
We have voting places all over this country with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of poll workers, and I'm not diminishing the poll workers, but they're all volunteers, and there's just too many of them, and it is wrought for things to go south. Lost ballots, ripped ballots, they dropped them, they spilled coffee on them, you name it. It happens all across the country. We have the technology and the ability to do this where you could vote once, it won't be hacked, and when the election ends at 7 o'clock, by 7:01 you know all the results.
The state of Florida is filled with people, and it is you have to have voter ID. And they managed it in 2020 to have all of their election complete, totaled up, tallied, and all the information, the results sent the very same day. Arizona couldn't get it done last time. They didn't get it done this time. And they opened up their doors yesterday morning and said, yeah, the tabulators aren't working. Well, how convenient. And if that doesn't raise the slightest bit of suspicion from anybody in this country who wants a fair election, who wants fair and unimpeded elections, then I can't help you.
Yeah.
I can't help you. All right, I'm next, right? I'm lucky me that I'm already here. All right, and this is important. This is local politics. Attorney General Eric Schmidt has uncovered documents that show the Biden administration conspired with social media companies to censor free speech. Come back and we'll talk about it.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
Electric cooperatives are different. We have a sense of pride in our local community and support the people who live here. That's why Platte Clay Electric Cooperative supports local schools, takes an active role in economic development, and works hard to keep costs down for its members. We exist for one purpose, to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. To learn more about how Platte Clay Electric Cooperative is working to achieve that mission, visit www.pcec.coop. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
You may have noticed your shoulder hurting, or maybe a kink in your neck. The culprit may be looking right at you. Your phone. Think about how you use it. Does that pain feel familiar to you?
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Walnut Creek serves their premium wines in true farm-to-table fashion. Their grapes are grown on small vineyards in Missouri and Colorado and pressed right here in Holt, Missouri. Their locally made wine pairs with their gourmet pizza and charcuterie boards. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery. Open Thursday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 90 North Main Street in Holt, or find them on the web at walnutcreekwine.com. Walnut Creek Vineyard and Winery, bringing farm to table to your glass.
And we're back. Americans worried about the government conspiring with social media companies to censor their speech aren't conspiracy theorists. It's been proven. Last month, what appears to be one of the few honest judges in America ordered several key figures to sit for depositions in a court case brought by the federal government by the states of Louisiana and Missouri. That's our state attorney general, Eric Schmidt. In the case, the states allege that several key bureaucracies in the federal government have conspired with big tech companies to censor free speech on social media platforms. Let's watch this.
Now, 2 state attorneys general in the states of Missouri and Louisiana have obtained a lot more proof as part of their lawsuit against the administration. They found emails proving that Facebook and the Biden administration scheduled, quote, monthly disinformation debunking meetings to decide who should be censored. One White House official, who apparently still has his job, a man called Clark Humphrey, wrote to Meta in July of last year that Meta should take down a Tony Fauci parody account that appeared on Instagram. And we're quoting, "Hi there. Any way we can get this pulled down?" In a matter of seconds, a Facebook employee agreed to without even looking at the account. Quote, "Yep, on it. This is a crime. It's an attack on your most basic civil liberties. It's happening in public, and no one's saying anything about it."
All right, let's first understand what this case is about. It alleges members of the government conspiring and directing social media platforms to censor people and topics they didn't like because of dis, and malinformation. I mean, this case details the origin of COVID, election integrity, early treatment, Hunter's laptop, and more. So also you can read who they're requesting expedited deposition from, and the head of CISA is included along with Fauci, and Fauci's gotten the most attention. But It's much bigger than that, according to Tracy Beans from undercoverdc.com. And you can find all of this on undercoverdc.com if you want to do the research on your own. The case details really let me go further. I want to point out that the plaintiffs moved to depose others besides Fauci. It was Ron Flaherty, Director of Digital Security for the White House, Andrew Slavitt, who served as White House Senior COVID-19 Advisor, Jen Psaki, recognize that name? Jen Psaki, I want to call her Psaki. But Elvis Chan, the FBI Supervisory Special Agent, Jen Easterly, Director of CISA within the Department of Homeland Security. What happened was that the plaintiffs went to the judge and they got information about these very people that I just mentioned. And when the judge saw what was turned up in the discovery phase, he said, we're not only going to depose these people, but we're going to step up the timing on it. We're going to expedite the depositions. And Jim, you're familiar with that from law enforcement and from you've worked for a law firm, and you've seen what this is all about. You're bringing people in, and maybe for the audience, let's talk about what is a deposition during the discovery phase.
Well, the beauty is discovery phase will get you a lot of things because it's what it implies. It's discovery, but a lot of times what happens in the deposition, which is nice, as long as you can get the person to talk, because a lot of times they'll plead the fifth or whatever the case may be, but what it does is it starts to, it's very easy outside the scope of certain things to just gloss over, not talk about them, make it go away. When you get into the discovery phase and you get into depositions, these depositions go a long time. And it's not just asking someone questions, but 99% of the time in the discovery phase, the person who's doing the deposition has factual documentation that they want you to explain, and they've done their research. If you bring all these people in and have them deposed, and I'm one who, there's a long way between being ordered to come in for a deposition and the actual sitting for the deposition. But then all that stuff tends to a lot of times become public record, which is really nice because now you lose the ability to be able to hide behind certain things. So I think we're starting to learn with a great deal of, I think even the most avid deniers are starting to realize that within the social media world, there's a lot of control. We see it here all the time. There's a lot of what's held back. And the funny thing is, when Elon Musk took over Twitter, the funniest thing to me was the people who are complaining the loudest about Musk being in Twitter are the people who are doing exactly what they purport he's doing. Mm-hmm. So they're like, well, he's gonna spread all this disinformation and all this. Well, that's exactly what's been going on. And now you have Twitter employees who've admitted it, that, yeah, we were doing that. We were talking earlier off the air that on my Twitter feed, I'm seeing all of a sudden a bunch of stuff that I was like, I forgot I even followed that person, but I never was seeing him, and now I'm seeing him. So I hope I don't think these look, if Facebook and Twitter and all that are censoring people, that's one thing. I truly do not believe the federal government should be in these private entities trying to hold back information. No. This goes back to what we talked about before. This is withholding news.
Right.
Well, it's unconstitutional. I mean, let's just be honest about it.
I'm getting so worked up in my own little mind right now.
Deep breath.
I know. Obviously, we don't know the whole truth, but we know enough to know we're being lied to and manipulated. And the media is playing into that, as it goes back to what you brought up earlier, Jim. But for me, it goes back to, what do we do about it? There's no consequences ever for any of these people, and we try to go to the polls and vote. We try to tell people, do your research.
That's what makes this case, Stacey, so important. That two states, the state of Missouri and Louisiana, are suing the federal government because of this. That's what we can do about it. So finally, yes, we have State Attorney General Eric Schmidt, and is now Senator-elect Eric Schmidt here in Missouri, and we should be very proud of that. But right now, this is in a court of law.
Right.
And these people that have committed this crime, are in the middle of being deposed if they haven't already.
Here's the problem. One, I don't think they have been deposed yet. The other thing is when you get into these federal level jobs, you're protected.
Right.
They have all these different protections. It's kind of like, to dumb it down, it's different, but it's you've heard of the corporate veil and all that. You get protected.
Yes.
The problem is there's like 37 steps, and what Stacy says is absolutely true. The problem is there's never any recourse. You can do what you want, and then you get caught, and it's kind of like, well, no harm, no foul.
Right.
And
look at Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. I just don't. I'm with you, Stacy. I don't know where you go because we're so far down the road and nothing ever. Everybody.
Okay, but I'm not going to sit here and say
everybody gets all wrapped up.
No, I'm not going to sit here and say that it just happens and so let's live with it. No. This is stunning. And there's a lot of people that don't grasp what's happening here, and especially in the public. I mean, this is conspiracy. It's a conspiracy so vast that it's overwhelming, that it legitimately compromises the whole of our government. And that's what's going on right here. Well, finally, somebody's standing up, and there's somebody right here from our state in Missouri that is absolutely standing up and saying, yeah, along with another state who is saying, we're not going to have any more of this. And the other thing that makes this unique is, yes, you are right, Jim. There are the people who are the heads of these departments in the federal government generally are left alone. And the biggest reason you can't depose or bring people like that in is you would never get to the case. And for all the reasons you described. Yeah. But this judge has said, I absolutely, based on the evidence that was shown to him during the discovery phase, says we're bringing these people in, and we're not going to bring them in a little bit. We're going to bring them in now. And that's what I think is fascinating here. So I'm not one of those guys that says, oh, I'll believe it when I see him perp walked and with the cuffs and the orange jumpsuit.
Yeah.
No, I think they're finally starting to see this. And you know that I'd be the first one in line to say, come on, man, let me see some arrests. But this, I think, is just so powerful of a case that you can't help. And I highly recommend, go to uncoverdc.com, and Tracy Beans, who's the editor-in-chief of this, she's an investigative journalist focused on bringing integrity and ethics back to journalism, but what we talked about early on today, known for her factual research and into the details that few others pursue. She hosts a popular podcast, Dark to Light. And she was also a medium phenom who amassed nearly 900,000 Twitter followers. This woman has been down the road, and believe me, and oh yeah, by the way, she was banned by big tech.
Yeah, what I would recommend too is on that, there's the ability to, on that, you can go there, but go to the source documents, because those court documents are the source documents.
They're on
That's what I'm saying.
They're linked right here.
So if you don't like the link or the place where it is, or you're like, oh, that's a conspiracy, the court documents are there.
Yep.
They're right
That's
there.
what you want to go to.
Right
We've got to step
Yep.
away. Final thoughts coming up next. Stay with us.
Kearney Bulldog football is here, and you can listen to the game with live play-by-play action on the Bulldog Radio Network right here on 102.7 FM or our live stream at 1027KearneyMo.com. You can also find us by downloading the TuneIn or MyTuner radio apps on your phone and searching for KPGZ. The Bulldog Radio Network will broadcast the game live on Friday, November 11th, as the Bulldogs take on the Smithville Warriors. The 102.7 pregame show starts at 6:40 p.m. and the kickoff is at 7. Kearney Bulldog Football 2022, catch the fever.
All right, welcome back to Kearney Live, and for our final thoughts, I've got an exciting one this week, and I mean it is huge, ladies and gentlemen. Woohoo! Kearney Bulldogs versus Smithville Warriors for the district championship at 7 o'clock. That's right here at home. for the district championship, folks. This team is 10-0, looking to be 11-0, and then we start our run to the playoffs, the state playoffs.
Well, we're in the playoffs.
I'm talking about for the state.
Oh,
this
you're
district
going for the big kahuna.
I'm going for all the money, all the big. Yes,
That's
exactly right. The big enchilada.
What time's pregame, Mike?
Starts at 6:20.
6:40.
6:40.
But
was
you
a
know
test.
what? Tune
That
in
was a
at
test.
6:20 because then you'll be prepared when pregame
There you
starts.
go.
And in
There you
fact,
go.
yeah, let's hope that the weather will be a little chilly, I think.
Yeah,
But no rain.
No rain.
Yep.
I'll take chilly, no rain,
Yep.
especially after the
my
monsoon last
Yes,
week.
indeed.
All right, well, it is Shop Small season. Everybody should be getting ready for the holidays. Now that we've gotten past Halloween, we can start talking about Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? And there are big things happening in Kearney. If you haven't gotten your green ticket for the holiday giveaway yet, be sure to go visit some participating merchants to get your ticket. You can find out more about the holiday giveaway here in Kearney at thekearneychamber.org under events, or on the Visit Kearney mobile app. Look for the holiday giveaway. You could win $2,000.
Wow. That's real money.
Real money.
I like it,
That would pay for like 4 Christmases.
yeah.
For you friends and relatives of mine. Not getting anything this year. You know what I think? I think there's not enough laughter in the world. So I thought we'd end the show. My final thoughts, in Switzerland, they took 12 people with the most unusual laugh and put them in a room together. What could go wrong? Let's take a look.
Même à imiter, c'est impossible.
Oh,
That was awesome.
So, what's the giggle snort?
The giggle snort, the guy that got me is the guy who laughs in Morse code.
That's a good one, though. Oh,
So I thought we'd end up on a happy note.
That's awesome.
I want to say thank you to Dante DiStefano. Thank you so much for being with us, and welcome, and come back anytime and be a part of this. And thanks for doing the news for us today. And we'd love to have you anytime you want to come over. So we appreciate you and all the hard work you do with the folks over there at the high school. Yeah, there he is. Look at him, and he has endured all of our sense of humor, which may not be as funny to him as it is to us.
He looked pretty frightened,
which has
most
been
of the show.
fantastic. Yes. Thank you, Brian, for all the hard work you do, and keep it up. And we're going to see you on Friday night for sure. Don't forget the Coach Minnick show tomorrow at 11, and we will see you then. Thank you so much for being with us today on Kearney Live. We'll see you next week.